What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Burndown YouTube channel. So today I want to do an overview on the temperature sensor install on the Twinnebago, which is running a Holley Terminator X Max. And I previously shot this video and I was doing good, feeling pretty froggy. I did the install. I thought I was doing something that was pretty smart. And well, it turns out you get to the part to where you try to start telling the Holley to go find the sensor that you just installed, and you realize the Terminator X doesn't have a provision to add a coolant temperature sensor. So if you have a Pro dash, like I have a 7-inch dash in the Malibu, I have a trans temperature sensor, if you guys have seen that. Well, the sensor is actually wired into the dash, and the dash is on the CAN bus network. And I noticed in the Holley, if you get the CAN module expansion that they sell now, it gives you additional I/O. It runs over the CAN network, and then you're able to feed it a sensor. But if you just want to feed it a sensor direct, you don't want to spend the 300 bucks, you're gonna have to learn how to do a pull-up circuit, which I had to figure out, courtesy of A21 Bravo. He is part of the sloppy community. The guy's awesome. I watched a handful of his videos. Very insightful, and he's a go-getter DIY guy. He's one of the crazy Canadians up there doing it as well. So go check out his video. I will show you a picture of the thumbnail or whatever. I don't know if I can link it if I get popped from YouTube or whatever, but that's the video that I watched to come up with my pull-up circuit. So with that being said, we'll do a complete overview, and then I can kind of talk about what I did to get the thing in there to get it to seal, and then we will jump into the Holley and I will show you kind of how I got the thing configured, and then that's that. So now what we have is I have a coolant temperature sensor, if you're wondering why I would need that in the power steering, because now it's on a separate circuit. So when the temperature of the power steering gets to a certain temperature, the Holley will know that, and it can fire the fan that I have on the cooler. So without that temperature sender, the Holley doesn't know where the temperature of the power steering is, and then I can just run the fan all the time, but that seems wasteful. And then I could run it with the coolant temp like I have been, just a band-aid to get it to work. But the coolant temp swings with the fans on here, and I feel like the power steering is more of a set heat versus the coolant temperatures going up and down with load and everything. So that's why we did this. We will run it. This is what we're gonna do. Hopefully it helps our issue. So let's jump inside and I'll show you guys what we did. Welcome to the Twinnebago and my mess. I'm your host, Dane Thompson. So there is our temperature sender. It's actually just a sensor. It's a 2-wire GM coolant temp sensor is all that is. I drilled and tapped this, and I thought the housing down low would be thicker. It is not. It is very thin plastic, but it's pretty rigid. So I drilled it, tapped it, and this is a coarse thread unit. So I ended up using some silicone, and then I cut the crush washer off, and I put a, what is it, an injector, a fuel injector, a Viton O-ring on the end of it, because if you've ever played with these or pulled these out of the engine, there's a gap where the threads stop and then the crush washer is. So I wanted to take that up, and I couldn't tighten this willy-nilly because it's barely in some crap plastic here. So we've got an O-ring, silicone, and I tightened it by hand and just did one of those, and I let this fully dry. So this is where we're at. That is submerged in fluid. So the fluid's up into here, you know, where the little stick grabs it. So that's in fluid now. And then as far as wiring goes, if you'll notice, we're on the same, kind of the same jam as where the coolant temperature is. So it kind of worked out. So I stole the ground from the coolant, because that's your Holley, the computer ground, the signal reference wire, if you will. And then the orange wire, or red wire, is the signal that goes into the computer. So I have that on this guy here that I snuck back in the loom. And then my pull-up circuit is in here. I pulled the 5 volts off of my fuel pressure. You see it goes in right here, so where everything's squidded out, I opened this up and then I did my pull-up circuit in here. So for a real quick reference, what a pull-up circuit is you introduce 5 volts onto the reference side of this. So when it's going back to the computer, it's 2.2 kV resistors on a 5-volt circuit, gives you the output that you need for the 2-wire sensor. It'll make sense if you watch A21 Bravo's deal, but essentially I just did that. So we got it all wired in. It goes to the I/O. then I also get this lamparoo off so you can see. So I also got cups of water, boiling ice, and then ambient temperature. And then the cool thing, because it's really close to where the coolant temperature sensor is I would plug it in where the coolant temperature goes. So that's a standard issue for the Holley. And I would take the temperature through that circuit, right? And then I would just unplug it and plug the new one in, which is the power steering temperature. And I would see what the offset was, and I was trying to get those guys to match. So I did my work. I will show you the Holley. Let me fire up the laptop, and it has like a bit of a curve to it at the end. But from the low to the mid up to a certain point where I think it was like 186 or 85, the thing is basically on point. So linear until it gets there. And I figure anything over that, we're probably just gonna fire the fans anyway, maybe a little bit mature. So even if the temperature starts kind of winging up, I wasn't able to get anything boiling. Like I'd run boiling water outside. I know it sounds really bad, but I'd walk it quickly. And by the time I put the sensor in it, you know, we were losing, I don't know, cause what, boiling's 220 for water, I think it is. So it'd get down, I think 180 something was like the hottest. I was able to like check with the sensor, but by the time you check it and unplug one and check the other one, I mean, it's just gradually kind of going down. So we're in the ballpark. It's not perfect. We'll pull the Holley out. We'll show you what it looks like. And then what we can do is we can just take ambient temperatures. I can start this and we can get online with it with the Holley, and it'll show you on the log where it's at temperature wise. Then we can probably start this thing and kind of watch it kind of climb up the mountain, and set parameters, make sure the fan comes on, and that's it. That is a wrap. So less talking, more Holley action. Man, this cord's probably seen better days. All right, we got the dinosaur fired up, plugged in. Let's hit the key. Hopefully I didn't drain the battery. Fire up our Holley. Open global file. Oh, let's do this. Let's see if we can just pull it straight out of the ECU. Yes. Yes. Okay, so hopefully the glare's not too bad and you guys can kind of see. So that should be good. So let's go to pin map. So yeah, so I have it pinned. It's an A3 PS temp. So that is good, that is there. And then we can go to our I/O. Inputs, PS temp. This is our ECU pin, it's a 5 volt. I have it enabled and we can configure it, right? So here's what we have. So the max I show on here was 240, minimum 0. Custom 5 volt, units are Fahrenheit, format is 1. And then this is what our little ski slope deal. And then when it gets over here, kind of willy-nilly, I mean, we could probably just pick this thing up here, do one of these with it. But essentially to this point here, and then this little slope all the way down, we're pretty well in the ballpark for the most part. So I feel confident in this whole range here. And again, I think power steering fluid starts to boil when it gets up here. And hopefully we're cruising somewhere around, you know, I'd like to be down here. I really don't want to be up there. But I know between here and then right in this range here, it's going to be pretty accurate, but I think we're going to fire it off before then. So that's the slope. That's what I came up with. 0 to 5 volts, and then it's 226 to 0. And the reason I did that slope is because when I first punched it in and pulled it down, it kind of ballparked me, and then I just manually moved these as I checked temperatures. And like I said, we did like ice water, ambient temperature, and then I boiled stuff, and I think this is kind of around the hottest I could kind of get it. I wish I could have got like full-on boiling water, but you know, I guess I could boil something in here, right? Because it is a motorhome, but I think we'll be good with that. By the time it's 180, we know we're getting warm anyway, I would imagine. So if we go to this guy, we turn it on, and we go to our gauges. I have it right here. So we got 97 degrees on the coolant temperature sensor, and we got 87 roughly on the power steering. So it's a little off from ambient, you know, but I don't know. One's measuring coolant temperature head in the sensor in the head, and then the other one's measuring a separate reservoir. So I'm gonna trust it for the most part. But yeah, I wonder why coolant's already 97 anyway. So that is that. We could fire this thing up and probably log it and see how they kind of go together. So maybe we could do that, and then we can check for leaks. So let me do this. We'll data log it. Okay, we're running. Let's fire this boy. Sensors, power steering temp 87, and the coolant is 102. So that's it. We'll let it run. We'll log that. Let it heat up, and then I can bring you back when we have a dad log and stuff gets warm. So let me let this idle a little bit, and then we'll go over the dad log and make sure they're kind of cruising together. Yeah, so there you go. There's my heating problem. Looks like we got a dead fan. It's trying to stay tense as it was, and then this guy's turning, and we're like 194. So this guy should be spinning. So that's not good. But yeah, this thing's at like 140. And the coolant is doing its thing. So what I'll do is I'll wait a little bit longer. We'll kick the fan on this thing. We'll see if we can make it go down. But I don't feel like 140 is terrible. We'll see what power steering cooling is supposed to be. Okay, me and the tester are gonna make a run. We're gonna go to Target because it's Mother's Day on Sunday, huh? So we're gonna go pick something special out, drive the Bago over there, and then unfortunately the circuit I added, I can't see it, or I don't know how to look it up on this little 3.5 dash. So I can't really monitor it here, but I have it firing on the Holley, and then it should turn off and on if it gets within the temperature range that we selected. And then I got a temp gun, so like when we get to the destination, I can just shoot it with the temp gun and kind of see what the fluid temp is on it, and we'll just do one of those. But I'm gonna know if it's working or not because the brakes will kind of squeal and they'll kind of drag a little bit if it's too hot. But I think we're gonna be doing good, so we'll head over there, and then we'll bring you guys back to the parking lot. We'll gun some stuff, we'll temp it, and then we'll get something special, and we can't show Mom, so we can't put it on here. And then we're gonna come back home and wrap this thing. Okay, it was getting like high 60s, 165, like 170. So let's see little fans on now. No, the fan's not on, so it's not even 170. It says 136, 135, 132. So yeah, that's good after our little drive. We went real nice and slow, so I'm happy with that. Like I said, the fan's not even kicked on, so it's less than 170, so it can't be too bad. So we're gonna go get top secret stuff, and then we'll get home and wrap this. All right, we were back. Did we get the good stuff, dude? For Mommy? You think she'll be happy?
Yeah.
What are you playing with? He found the temp gun, so now he wants to know the temperature of everything. So we'll run back home. Then when I get back home in my own driveway, I can leave the thing running and kind of look underneath and measure temperatures. But I feel pretty good. We haven't gone very far, but today is pretty warm. It's like 87 degrees today. So we'll sneak back over there, and then this thing is ready to continue rigorous testing. The weekend's coming up, so it should be nice and hot this weekend. So we need to kind of scout some locations. I have some footage I need to get with the Bago, so maybe we can cruise this thing around, scout locations, and just put it to its paces this weekend. And then yeah, so we'll wrap this in. We go home. We'll see how she does on the way home. It's not very far, but yeah, test is a test, right? Pulled in. Let's see if this guy's on. Nope, not even on. So that's good. That means it's staying pretty cool. This guy, however, you can hear this fan zinging because there's only one fan working. So that right fan is just not too excited, which is not good, but it is what it is. So that is it. I think we're pretty successful. We're gonna figure the fan situation out too, but you know, it's always something that was a junkyard fan, and it looks like we got one working. But I need to go talk to Champion, see if we can just do a whole different rad setup, and then we'll just put a big boy fan on there. So until next time, you guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, click the chicken. I'm out.